Okay, as of now, we're recording.
Hello, Scott. Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth.
You know, when I talk about hidden truth, I call myself, and this is how I'm promoted through Company New York and what's coming up for me, with 3 new website developments that are tied to paralleltime.com. I refer to myself as a hidden truth revealing researcher, or experiential based hidden truth revealing researcher. That means that anything I reveal is based on my own direct experience. It's not come from someone else on earth, someone else on the internet, from a hidden government, from people from other worlds. It comes from my own experience with people from other worlds and beings from higher realities. And I share that. But not just to tout information for people, that doesn't do anybody any good. To provide them with information that's connected to ways to wake it up within themselves. And there are blocks subconsciously in the way of people doing that. They don't even know they have. So my work, number one, is to get them aware of hidden truth they have been made to forget without their consent before they were even born here. That's one challenge, to get people to begin to become aware again that something was done to them that brought them here with no memory. They think it was God's will and they signed a contract, and it's touted all over the planet. People making tons of money on that kind of stuff. Can't blame them, they don't know any better. But the point is, people don't come here voluntarily to be born on earth with no memory of anything that came before, or very little. They think that's normal because what other choice do they have? They grow up with all their peers and parents and government, everybody touting the same thing. Why would they ever learn or think that there's something different than that, unless it crosses their path somehow while they're on this earth? Why would they become aware of it? All they've got is faith and religion, and that's never fixed this world. Everybody knows it. They don't dare admit it, because what are they going to turn to? They've got to have an alternative. And they have to have an alternative that will work, that will help them remember what was taken from them without their memory or consent. If they don't understand that, if people don't begin to get that, they're not going to make much progress in this lifetime. Fortunately, there are beings I know of and I work with from other worlds that are in a process now to transform this planet for the first time in galactic history because of something that changed in them very recently off this planet. I reveal what that was in the Sayres agenda. A history involving extraterrestrials, good and bad, dealing with Earth and how it's affected us today, is in the Emerald Doorway, book 1 of the Parallel Time trilogy. The books were written with help from friends from other worlds. They didn't write it, but it's my trust and friendship with them that helped produce these books as channels. Not psychic channels. They're more telepathic. They're connected through a pure form of energy that cannot be abused by negative beings or technology. That's a big statement, but it's true. And the only way anybody that listens to, say, your show are going to find this out for themselves is by actually waking it up and experience it for themselves. Otherwise, all they've got is someone telling them something. And that may be good and may not. Could be right, it might not be. So when we work with the first sound behind all creation that has never been perverted by good and bad, good and evil, or misuse of tyrants and technologies, and people propping themselves up to play God, to lord it over followers without really giving them anything in return for all that faith and trust. They really don't. Many lifetimes, over and over again. Earth hasn't changed one iota since these leaders of religions on Earth were born and died. It's still the same old diabolical place, isn't it? It hasn't changed anything, and people know this, but they don't really have an alternative. At least they don't believe that they do. So what's changing now, which is what motivates me, is to help people, assist people to understand what has changed that they can connect to that will help them recover their own experiences. Because unless they do that, they're going to be relying on someone outside themselves to tell them what's true. Tyrants love that, because then they can feed any information to the public they want and manipulate them and keep them just unaware of everything they once knew. I can tell you that all that's reversible. Even though people wouldn't believe it when they first hear it or understand it, it is. If we were really alone in this universe, this planet would be dead. All life on it would be destroyed. By the actions of human beings here that have been misdirected subconsciously, they would have destroyed this place already. So we're not alone in the universe, which is the reason we have not had a nuclear war. Governments aren't going to tell people they can't use nuclear weapons, at least not yet, because they're not allowed to. I don't care if people don't agree with it or understand it. The fact is, we haven't had a nuclear war because they've been prevented. For over the last 65 years, 12 separate times. That's classified. You're going to have governments telling people they can't have a nuclear war here, because then they can't keep control of things by using those weapons as a threat. It's all tyrant stuff. People who do it in governments can't help it. I don't blame them. They have things done to them they don't even know what's done to them to make them the way they are. And that needs to be reversed so that this planet can take its place among the stars, among hundreds of millions of worlds in our Milky Way galaxy that have benevolent, kind, spacefaring life on them, many of them human. People on Earth don't even know they exist yet. They know there is life out there, but they don't remember they're part of it. They don't remember they were once extraterrestrial themselves. Why do I say that? Because there is nobody on this planet today that originated here. Not one single human being. No skin color or race originated on this planet. Anybody ever wonder why there's so many different kinds of, ebony people and Caucasian people and Asian people and Arabic people and Hindu and Indian and all this stuff, Semitic? It's because they originated in other worlds where their whole planet was like that. One time or another, these beings were brought here. Not in the best of circumstances. In a history people were made to forget. The real history of Earth and the Galactic Alliance, good and bad ETs, and all of the beings and master teachers from different dimensions is really not known to people here. All they've got is what they can see on their own planet. History of things gone by. They don't have any connection to what's taking place right now out in the universe. Tyrants don't want them to know that. It's just too bad, because tyrants don't have any choice in the matter anymore. What's underway now cannot be prevented by any tyrant beings on any dimension or through the misuse of extraterrestrial technology. The beings who have classified things here know that as I'm speaking with you. Who I work with and myself have never been a threat to any of them. What we're about is changing all that so that even tyrants who are acting as tyrants now no longer will be tyrants. If you don't change that, you're not going to change anything on this earth. This is what motivates me to do these little radio shows and talk with you. I never charge money for it. There's no monetary system involved in what I do whatsoever. Is there? Have I ever suggested paying me anything for doing anything with you? No. Of course not. I sell books because one of them's published through a publisher in New York, and that's the nature of the game on this planet. But for doing session work or for doing things like this or providing instructions to people that email me or showing them how to utilize the Savior's Agenda, the Emerald Doorway, begin their own awakening experience, there's no money involved in that. There never will be. I don't work with people from other worlds who work with monetary systems. They're outlawed off planet. They don't use them. People don't even comprehend how that's possible on a planet like this, but it is. It's Earth that's behind the eight ball, backwards, antiquated, ancient, and not caught up to speed with the rest of the universe. So we need to change that.
Scott, back to the book. People are asking, like, once they have read your book, how long does it take for them to start to recall or to have experience, you know?
Directly related to how much courage they can muster over what was done to them. Every single atma, the real being of a person, not the body. People are brainwashed to thinking when they look in the mirror or grow up on this planet that they're this thing. They're afraid of losing it. What will happen to me when this dies? They relate to it as if it's who they are. It isn't. It never has been. What they are is a type of energy that's spherically shaped. That's what the soul is, or the Atma. What beings from other worlds that are the most evolved spiritually and technologically call soul, they call it the Atma. It's like an atom of right from the source itself, the prime creator, God, wherever you want to call it. It's an individualization of the very same thing as that source, supreme being, whatever you want to call that. No difference, same characteristics, same qualities and characteristics of creation on a smaller scale as that source. And people on earth don't understand this. They think that they are subjects, like automatons or robots or some kind of beings created by some super being long ago that makes them secondary creations of it. This is not true. That's tyrant propaganda, brainwashing 101 right there. That's not what happened. Every single Atma, every single being was at the beginning of creation. Because we aren't matter like these bodies. They're not made of atoms and molecules. The energy that makes up the spherical nature of an Atma is not comprised of the energy of the lower dimensions. It's not good and bad, positive and negative. It comes from planes far above the void known to the Buddhists. And that's where they originally came from. They've just been made to forget it. One terrible situation or another. And hundreds of millions of years of existence that they've had, they don't even know they've had. Huh. You mean we're really in existence to find ways to co-create new ways of doing things with the Supreme Being itself, and that's really why we exist? Yes, that's actually why we exist. You wouldn't know that from people on Earth because they don't remember any of this. Almost universally all over the planet. Little bits and pieces, religion here, spirituality or psychic this, telepathic that, anything, little bits and pieces. But they don't have the whole picture. They don't remember what they are. First rule of thumb in Galactic Alliance 101, or spiritual awakening or enlightening, I don't want to say training, but it's a co-creative function of each being once they're awake enough to utilize it. They co-create with those who don't have subconscious minds, who did not grow up on this planet, who aren't trapped here, to help them unravel this knot. They do not operate as tyrants. So it's important that people wake up enough, get raised enough in vibration to begin to unravel the knot with their help. But they're not going to just do it to people. Tyrants are the only one I know that do things to people to keep them dumbed down and controllable and worshiping them. So they can use their energy in other covert diabolical ways without those people knowing it. And keep them recycling here on this planet. This is not easy stuff to confront. But if I was here to just placate people's egos and placate what they want truth to be and not tell them the truth, what purpose would I have in doing this at all? So I'm going to tell them the way it really is as far as I've experienced it in my many journeys out of body, down the time track, in the higher dimensions, on other worlds, with beings from there, over a very long period of time, even in this lifetime. And I'm going to tell them the truth about that. And they're not going to get anything other than that from me. I don't care what they think I should be doing. If I placate them, I'm not helping them. People placate people and tell them what they want to hear for money on this planet all the time. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't really change the people either. So my work is not about that. I'm not motivated by the power and money and fame and fortune of this planet. I can certainly assume those roles, but I'm not attached to them. I'm not motivated by them to do what I do. I don't care if people believe that or not. Frankly, it's not my responsibility to get them to change. It's their responsibility to do that if they want to. All I do is provide them with the way to do that. And then they have to put in the effort to do it. And they will get the help they need to have these experiences from people from out of town, from beings who are kind and very enlightened, from other worlds and other dimensions. They will. But they got to step up to bat themselves. It can't just be done to them. People on Earth have had things being done to them for millions of years, thousands of lives. And here they are on Earth with no memory. How has that helped them? Ask yourself that question. How has that really helped anybody? So really the whole thing is direct experience is the only thing I deal with. I don't deal with doubt or fear or theory or speculation or debate with anybody at any time for any reason. I'm not interested in talking about other people's work on the internet and UFO community or anybody else on this planet. My work does not compare to them in any way. I'm not doing it to compare it to them. I'm not doing it to harm them. I'm not doing it to say I'm better or worse than them. I'm doing it because I know what I'm doing to help other people recover. And that's why I'm doing it. Frankly, I don't care what other people think, because they are really motivated for the most part from subconscious terror and fear. They lash out to people. They throw stones at other people in a glass house. If you know anything about what that means, it means people that are throwing barbs and negativity towards others without knowing them, without even looking, but just hearing what somebody else has said and throwing it out there, they're throwing a stone in a glass house. And that stone will shatter their own house. It doesn't bother me one bit. But they don't understand that they're putting out a negative energy field out of their own fear of loss, maybe income, who knows what. But it makes them act like tyrants. They become covert and devious in their nature. And that, by the laws of the lower planes, is an action-reaction situation. It's karmic. What you put out comes back. If people want to live in the lower dimensions like this planet Earth and not suffer from karma, they need to start putting out the imagination in one correct way, a whole, complete way. Not in two ways, positive and negative. Well, I want the best for my family, but I'm terrified for my own destiny. I want the best for the planet, but I really think there's going to be an Armageddon. It's brainwashing. It splits their imagination, the energy coming from their whole being, into two different ways that are opposed. It short circuits the energy into the earth, and they can't function. They can't wake up. They can't do much of anything. That's how tyrants have affected them without their knowledge in the past. The way that I know of to get over that is to confront what happened, because it's just a memory then, not something affecting you subconsciously. The subconscious mind is an artificial creation. Normal human beings in other worlds do not have subconscious minds. Did I just say that? Normal human beings in other worlds do not have subconscious minds at all. People on Earth think that's normal. Psychologists, psychiatrists who don't know any better tell them the same thing. But there's no healing science on this planet that works. They give people drugs with side effects to suppress symptoms that cure anything. They don't cure anything. So if people really want to wake up here, they're going to have to start using their godly powers and abilities in a divine, loving way towards all life, not just life on Earth. They need to think on a galactic scale, an interdimensional scale, and start appreciating life all over the universe. Because there's an old saying, you can only have as much of God as you can imagine. No more, no less. So if you can't imagine being outside this box in other worlds and with beings that are free, you're not going to experience it. Because this divine spirit, this underlying energy, even in the void of space that's not made of matter, that people in the Hadron Collider, the super collider in CERN, Switzerland call the God particle, because it's not matter and it's under everything. It's in the void of space. They don't know what it is. It's not positive and negative, but it supports all life. That is what we are comprised of as beings. And when we travel the universe, we ride on that energy. It's not limited by space and time or karma or reincarnation. That's really important. If your people really want to know the truth, they're going to have to start hearing it for what it is, not what they want it to be. Because they need to remember they once knew this themselves, maybe long ago. I know that every human being on this planet once knew this, and they were twisted and made to forget it in quite horrendous ways, in lifetimes in the past they don't recall, before they found themselves incarnated here with little or no memory of what happened. That's not normal. It really isn't. So Earth is not a normal human planet yet, but it has recently been designated to become one for the first time. Now that's important. Who else do you know that's sharing that with people on this earth? I'm not touting myself as being better than anyone else, because I'm not. I'm an Atma just like you, just a little more experienced and aware from an off-world perspective than people on this planet are. And I had to really work very hard over many decades to do that, against all odds. How I ended up here was not by choice. It wasn't God's will, but it was tyrant's will pretending to be God who put me here against my will, not the source itself. If people can really start to get what I'm saying here, they'll begin to remember so much more quickly. So that's enough on that. It's a very serious issue, but it's also very lighthearted, because when people have these experiences, they're very uplifting. They make the body feel warm. It's like serenity of being. One of the things I do, and I bring it up in every show, if we have the time, do we?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Is this. When a human being sends out a certain sound, in the beginning, things were set up as a fail-safe this way. There is a sound behind all creation. It's not made of matter. It's not in the Brahman plane, the mental plane. It's not in the lower dimensions. It doesn't come from there. It comes from the source we all come from, and it's always been present. But people have forgotten this. They used to know how to work with it. When you do it out loud, or even mentally, or even in your imagination, preferably, which works beyond the mental plane, then you send out this you, which is a telepathic, pure kind of energy connection to other beings who are free, who aren't trapped on Earth. They hear it. They do it themselves. It might sound like this from my part, from my voice. On the outgoing breath. But it can be imagined too and be just as effective, even if you don't do it out loud, once you know about it. And it connects to beings. In this way, there's a new ray in town, a new type of conscious energy that's running through this primordial first sound behind creation that did not exist before about 7 years ago Earth time. That makes it possible to retire evil as an experiment or subconscious programming in this lifetime, even on a planet as backward as Earth. Those are pretty big words, but what's important to me is that people experience this for themselves. So if you want, we can take a break now and then maybe go into something a little bit more lighter.
Okay, sure.
We can, but this isn't about entertaining people, after all. You can go to the movies if you want that, right? So I'll pause the recording for now. We're recording again now. The second part of the show, Perry's show. I don't know, I guess most people will see both parts of this. It's one continuous recording with a pause in it. And then it'll come right back on. So I didn't stop the recording, I just paused it. Learning how to use this stuff properly. One of the things people don't remember on Earth besides who they are as a being, most people really don't know what they are, really know it. That isn't the physical body. What it looks like, how it's shaped, how it moves around. They don't. Find me a few people on Earth that really know that can tell me what it is. Go ahead and try. They really don't. So, and it's important that they do recover that, because it's more of a what is underway now is more about recovering what they once knew than earning it in the future, becoming an enlightened God being in the future. Because much of what they've been made to forget would make them masterful, like right here on Earth, if they recovered it. So the future is really more about what's underway now to create a new way of doing things in the lower dimensions. And that means the retiring of evil as an experiment, which would never worked, like the dinosaur was more than 50 million years ago on Earth. People have been coming here in one form or another in different civilizations for more than 50 million years from other worlds and other galaxies and other realities. After the dinosaurs were made extinct, people have been coming here. That's a very long period of time in the physical worlds. But none of them remember it, or just bits and pieces. Beings don't come into creation like new souls made by some super god who creates them in a machine. And then they start incarnating, and there's some big super being that made them, to which they have to pay homage and worship. The Supreme Source itself, the energy that's there, is exactly the same as the energy that we are comprised of as individuals. Collectively, the entire multidimensional universe of beings makes up what is at that source. You could speak with it, you could visit with it, but it's like a gigantic field of energy that has the collective wisdom and lives of all life that exists. We come from there. But it never required or asked us to worship it. That was little tyrant gods in the universe and other dimensions that set themselves up to manipulate people to worship them, or else you go to hell kind of thing. It's really just to manipulate them, to use their energy and keep them suppressed. Because our role and function as a human being is to co-create with that source, fully aware, not under its totalitarian jurisdiction and orders. If you are awake and you're trustworthy to utilize the great faculty of the imagination to create new things in the entire universe with that source, then it doesn't require or need you to worship it. If people do that, they're not going to get favors thrown at them from some god that's going to free them from this terrible cycle of lives and deaths that they don't remember from one life to the next. There's no evidence in any religious practice on this planet that anyone's really being set free in any life. And the world does not show in its condition and characteristics that any of that has been taking place. It's a pretty screwed up planet. It's very backward. Thousands of governments all at each other, lying to people, misdirecting themselves, their own families, and everyone else because they can't help it. None of them really want to do it anymore, but they don't know how to stop. So they're going to need some help from friends from out of town, human and otherwise, not tyrants, very advanced. You might call them spiritual adepts if you want. A normal human man and woman on another planet I know of would be considered to be as spiritual adepts to people here because their vibration is so much higher. They're so much more awake and aware. They have photographic memories. They're telepathic. They can get in and out of their physical bodies at will. They haven't forgotten. Those are the beings people need to start associating with if they're going to recover here. Why? Because they once associated with such beings. That's important that people come to understand that. How they do that? Well, they can choose anything they like. They're going to find, though, it is better to work with techniques that are designed to help people recover memory on a spiritual level as a being, who have direct experience and who provide them with connections and ways for them to co-creatively be in the process of their own recovery and awakening and enlightenment. Because that is not the path of tyrants. That's the path of true free will. People on earth do not have true free will like they think they do. It's brainwashing. If they had true free will, they'd know who they are and they could go to other planets and get on ships and leave their bodies and all that stuff. They're going to anyway when the body dies. So they're asked to believe what someone tells them out in the world about what they're going to find when they die with no experience. Just trust them. Most people doing that are doing it to get money out of people's pockets and into their own, unfortunately. This is largely true on this planet. But it isn't like that in other worlds. It's not like that. How are people going to find that out again unless they awaken it within themselves somehow? So you see, that's what motivates me in what I do. Nothing else. I don't have any covert intentions or hidden motivations, sneaky things around the corner. I'm straight in your face, straightforward, telling people the truth that they've forgotten. Sooner or later, they're going to recognize it because the vibrations on this planet, the energies are being ramped up. And it's going to get people out of it one way or another, the hard way or the easy way. But they are going to wake up here in unexpected new ways. I don't worry about the future of Earth, least of my concerns, because the past prophesied destructive Armageddon destiny for this planet was significantly and permanently altered forever, just a little over 7 years ago, out there beyond Earth. Now, for people to find that out, they're going to need to do a little homework. They're going to need to want to really know. They can't fit what I do into any of their preconceived ideas, into their religions, or into whatever they want truth to be, because it does not fit there, anywhere on this earth. It comes from other worlds and other realities to this planet. They do not fit into the teachings of this world, and they never will. They are about knowing who we are as beings and how to work with this source, what people call the Supreme Being. How to do that in a fully conscious way, run bodies on different planes and know it, get in and out of bodies at will. This is what people want to have under their own jurisdiction again, freedom. And to trust themselves with that freedom, that they will do what is right with it. Most people are afraid to wake up because they're afraid that they'll do something wrong with it. That's brainwashing, or they'll blow up a planet, or they'll become evil or something. That's just brainwashing, subconscious brainwashing. And what I got to tell people is it wasn't done to them on this planet. It was done to them before they were compelled to come here. They want the truth, they're going to hear it. But I'm not going to water it down. I don't have to do that. I'm not charging money for what I do. I don't owe anything to anybody on this planet. It's not my responsibility to wake them up. I do it of free will because I can. I do it with people from other worlds of free will because they can. They're not manipulated by tyrants to do it. They do it because it's the right thing to do. Their motivation is that, nothing more. I hope this helps people. I know that it will. Some, here, there, whatever. I don't do what I do to get people to follow me like I'm their guru, have them come and kiss my feet. That's nonsense. No one I know in the whole universe does that anymore, that knows what they're doing, because all beings have the potential to be masters of their own Atma in any life, on any world, anywhere. It's more about remembering. So why don't we do a couple of these, send out these connected telepathic things. I can tell you that it comes with a certain protection woven through it that negative things cannot penetrate. If someone experiences a negative situation, they feel like they're being abducted, or bad guys are on a ship above them, or something's going to happen. If they can remember when they first start feeling it, to go send out the hue and ask for help. And once they read the Savior's Agenda, they could ask for help from Torellian or me or anybody. Whole Galactic Alliance, billions of beings that are awake will hear it. And they'll help them dispel that negative feeling and whatever that is, because it's a program, and they'll shut it off. When a person experiences this, they begin to make gains. They begin to make strides in awakening. They begin to get confident with the hue again and what it does and why. But it's their experience then, not mine. That's important. So I want to do this 5 times. And you can listen, Perry, or your audience can participate with it. And I'm going to do it in a very special way. I'm going to take it up 5 different tones. And this means that I'm connecting with and working with beings I know of, not psychically, telepathically. There's a difference. One works with a pure energy that's not part of the positive and negative streams. So communication cannot be distorted. And then for me, it gives them permission to work with me of their free will to assist me, you, and all of your listeners. Usually what will happen is people will begin to have dreams at night or something like this when they leave their body at night, because they all do. Everyone leaves their body at night when the body's put into the trance state we call sleep. Pineal gland secretes melatonin, and that creates serotonin, and that makes the body, heart, and lungs work on automatic when you're out. That's actually what's going on. And a being will leave through the top of the skull or the pineal gland or whatever. We're talking about the being now, not the body. The body stays here. It's made of physical plane matter from the earth, and it stays here for now, anyway. And then beings go out, but they've had no training from birth, nothing from school, generally no culture on this planet really properly encourages people to look at dreams as real. They think they're making this stuff up in their brain. I got news for them. There's nothing in the brain between a human being's ears that's a camera with a movie projector screen through which they see stuff called imagination. There's nothing in the brain that can do that. So what's really seeing with the imagination when you imagine being on another world, or when you bring back a fully conscious memory in from the dreams at night and wake up in the morning with it, they're actually downloading the memory of where they were into the brain, into this body. And sometimes they get lucky and they remember. Most of the time they do not, because they've had no training, no consistency of subconscious or conscious training that gets them to be confident with and or use these faculties in order to remember where they go at night. That's what tyrants have done to them. So they won't remember. Everyone's capable of it, but they don't believe it. They've never worked with it. They're not comfortable with it. Gee, if I do that, I might go to hell. Or if I do this and get out of my body, the bad guys, the cootie people will catch me. That's already been done to them. They don't realize it's not about being caught again when they get out of their bodies now, because there are certain protections that come with this, working with the hue. They're not going to find it out that it's true until they work with it. They're just not. I can't be more truthful and honest or succinct than that. So I'm going to do these for their benefit. They can do whatever they want with it. If they have dreams at night with special beings that make them feel uplifted, or they feel very familiar and comfortable with them, then they can proceed further, right? Try the techniques at the back of the Savior's Agenda book or ebook. It's a little hard to work with an ebook, because if it says go to page 258 in this chapter, in an ebook, it can move the fonts in various sizes, and there could be 1,000 pages in an ebook when there's only 404 in the actual book. So they have to go to the chapter that technique for that chapter references, go through to the chapter, the paragraph that I asked them to read, a few paragraphs to review, and then apply the hue technique to it. They'll just have to hunt. But I do give them what the paragraph is, the sentence, how it starts and how it ends, where I want them to stop reading. So they can find it. Even in an ebook, it's a little harder. In a trade paperback, you can go to that, right to that page number that it says, and there it is. That all changes in an ebook reader because the technology is not advanced enough to have a reference section like that referring to pages. It all changes depending on what ebook reader a person has or how big or small they make the font size. So I want to put that out. The ebook's available for people who can't get the trade paperback. I recommend they get the book if they can, but the other one will help them too. So here's what we're putting out now. Before I start this is what I ask people to do. These words are constructed very carefully. It goes like this. Think of it this way. You are saying this from the center of your own Atma, spherical shaped energy, not the body, and it's connecting to the source you came from, right to the heart of it. And this is what you're saying to it. Safely show me deliberately hidden truth on a grand multi-dimensional scale and the much greater knowing of the expansive love within it. And then you send out the hue, particularly before you go to bed at night. That's one of the first things I share with people. So much more is revealed at my website at paralleltime.com, just like it's spelled. Everything there is free. Links to buy the books are provided there that go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon or iTunes or anything like that for various ebook forms or the trade paperback. But I don't have a shopping cart there. I don't take anybody's personal information or credit cards or anything like that. It's just there for their convenience. At the website, there's a recording of my voice sending out this hue in 3-part harmony. The almost 24-minute one has my voice looped so that it's continuous all the way through the 24 minutes to provide a boost, a certain doorway, something protected, some heartwarming thing, so people can get kind of kicked forward, move forward a little bit. They can play that and listen to it. And it's at the link that says about Scott-HU. Goes to a page with those recordings. A person can sit back and relax and listen to it, send out their own hue, and work with it to give them a little help along the way. It's free. There's no charge. It's there for them. If they want to be benefited by it, they can. And if they get the books, then the techniques are going to help them more. But there's a lot on that website that will help them as well. That about wrap us up?
Okay. Scott, for today.
Are we done?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then excuse me?
You have anything else to say?
Yeah, perhaps next time we'll go down the past time track to some cultures that have existed on this planet that people no longer remember.
Okay.
Because knowing the past is also helpful to know the present and where people are headed. So I think we'll do that next time.
Okay.
All right, I will stop the recording and say good night to everybody.
Okay.
And one thing to say to them for their benefit. Go into the with childlike wonder, and wonders will come your way.